While I may be airing the IDI nut, I'm still a huge proponent of having good lighting, and my wife's car needs fog light, so I'm going to be adding a dealer add-on fog light kit from an aftermarket manufacturer. Here we have all of the components of the kit ready to go on. This is a depo kit made to duplicate the aftermarket or the OEM dealer. That's the part number. So I popped the bumper off. There's many videos on how to pull the grill and bumper and all that off. Alright, so here's the piece that I cut out. As you can see, there's 4 tabs around them. The instructions tell you to use a utility knife, and I did. And then I took a Dremel tool and a burr bit and cleaned up all of the edges. And then I took a micro torch and just heated up the little bits of plastic so that I could wipe them off with my finger, and it essentially sands it perfectly smooth because I just had little bits of the burrs left over, and it made for a nice clean hole. And there's what the back side of it looks like once that's all done. Nice clean smooth hole cut perfectly to the opening that I can now mount the bracket that goes here and then here for it, and we'll work on installing the fog lights. Alright, I've got one captured nut there, I've got another one there, and then I've got a captured screw nut, and then this slides in about like so. Got a bolt that goes there, screw that goes in there, rests against here, sets there, and then the fog light's going to actually bolt here, here, and here. This other side's the same way. Those are the bolts I'm using. And if we come over here, you can see I've assembled the fog light with that bracket, that adjuster, and that will set in on the opposite side like this. So, mounts there, mounts there. Hopefully that gives some clarification. I know it took me a while to figure out what the heck the directions were saying, but I'm excited for these. Hopefully you guys don't make the same mistake I did, which is there's a rubber washer here that needs to have this metal washer on the outside. It goes right here. There's one that'll focus right there on each side of the light. So there's one right there and one right there. So I was curious what those 4 washers were for. I figured it out when I went to tighten the bolts. But I did wait till the end to tighten all 4 of these on each light and then realized my mistake. Hopefully that clears that up, because it didn't say it in these instructions, despite how good they are. And I will post pictures at the end as to what all was in the instructions. Alright, here's what the light modules look like all bolted together. You can see where and how I have bolted them, or screwed them, however you want to say. But you can still access that screw there with this adjuster bracket there. Comes out looking pretty spiffy. And there's the light module installed. Here you can see that I've cut out the part of the bumper here that would normally go here to here in order for me to mount a Diode Dynamics SS3 fog light here and not have the fog light beam pattern be inhibited in any way, because it would have stuck up there. So what I did was I took a Dremel and cut this off here, and then I hand sanded it, and then I used a micro torch to smooth it all out to the point where you have to look closely to tell that it wasn't done that way from the factory. Here's the other side as well. And I get that it's not going to be a perfect OEM type look, but I want the light more than I want an OEM look. So this gives me as close to both as I possibly can get. Here's how the hole will sit there. And if you look in, you can see a factory pinch weld right there that I'm going to move just to the other side of for mounting my lights. The light will sit roughly there, and it's sitting butted up against that factory pinch weld. It will sit roughly like that. If I wanted to center it, I could take and space it up, and I may do that. I haven't decided yet. Both lights are mounted up. Ran into a little bit of an issue in the clearance to the AC condenser. So what I ended up doing was some heat shrink. I just formed the connector so that it would lay proper and give it some structural stability so it wouldn't break over time. Here's how it looks once it's all installed with the connector, and then I will just wire it right here in front of it as the wires come by. Here's where you find the fog light connector from the factory. It's taped up with blue tape, and it's right there, that dirty connector. I've already got the jumper harness plugged into it. The bumper off, it's real easy to see under there as well. It's right there. You come down through that hole there. There's your ground stud, and then your pigtail will live right there, and it'll go across there. Routed the wiring harness as best I could, following as many factory wire harnesses to protect it. Ran it up along there, up through there, come down and out, and ta-da. Alright, there we have the fog lights all installed, bumpers back on, and I'm about to start on the interior stuff. Alright, so I removed the under here kick panel as well as the lower valence here, unplugged the two connectors for the cruise and the sunroof. There's a screw right here, there's a screw over there, both Phillips. The rest is just pop tabs that I'll pop out. Pulled the under kick panel off over there, and then I pulled this tray here. There's one screw in the back, and then you literally just hook your finger in one of those holes and pull it forward. There's several push clips on it. I ended up cutting my finger doing it, but it pops out. Then you pull this, and we'll go from there. Alright, as you can see, I've loosened the push pin down there and popped this side out. There's two screws there and up there, and then there's one screw up under there, one screw here, one screw there. Then this all pops out. There's two screws that held this on and two really tight clips. Had the e-brake pulled to get it out for the HVAC controls. I lied, there was also one screw holding the cup holder in, and then there was the connector for the cigarette lighter as well to get this lower valence out. There's the fuse box. The next thing you're about to do is plug in the wire for the fog lights to the factory harness, which is down here, back by the HVAC system. It's taped up with a blue wire. You can see I've got it undone. This connector will go into right there. And there's the red connector, there's the depo kit, and then here I'm about to plug in the factory harness into the depo wiring. Here it is from a different angle. It's coming up right here, and then you're about to unplug this one and plug it into a harness that comes with the depo kit. It has a male and female because you're plugging it in line to that. I'm sorry I'm changing up directions on you guys on the filming, but this was the only way that I could show you where the red wire connects into the fuse box. Finishing this up, this kicked my butt. So there's a 5-pin here that's this light gray connector right here, and you actually route that down, plug it into the harness, and then the harness has its own one for, I believe it's the headlight or the sunroof, moonroof area. So make sure and do that. And then the other thing is you route the wiring harness underneath there. Up behind that, you've got the single wire connector, and then there's two 10-pin connectors that go up and beyond that. You can see the top of the wiring harness, and I had a heck of a time shoving them into the center console, and then they plug in line right there. You can see that 10-pin connector there, and you can see the other one there. That you unplug the factory connector and you put the harness in line there. So, and that is inside the center here. And the directions were not very clear on that. Well, I just hooked the battery up and tested the fog lights out. They operate properly. Everything is good. I did have to repin the relay. One of the pins was not installed correctly from the factory. It was installed in a dead hole. Otherwise, it worked beautifully. Now I'm just left to put everything back and then button it all up. I just got done aiming the fog lights, both the Diode Dynamics SS3 Sports and the factory type depo ones. I measured the mid-height of the Diode Dynamics based on their aiming procedure and went 4 inches down. That's the second lower tape line, and I adjusted both the factory type fogs to that and the Diode Dynamics so that it's just one big fog beam of light. And I'm pretty happy with the results. I followed their results and came back 25 feet. And here's what it looks like. I'm really happy with the light output. It's got a good usable beam of light pattern that's not going to blind anyone.